This is what I find weird. Me and Conan have talked about this all the time because you're kind of from this era of what we called like almost like the stereotypical wrestler. Okay, and this is not no offense to this, but like the guys that like you kind of like almost like the stereotype professional wrestler from like the mid '80s that me and Conan talk about. Very well built, well groomed. Facial hair stuff, and we call it kind of like a lot of the guys in the roster like that, kind of like almost that metrosexual look.
Sure.
Just kind of like very look, like the Ty Dillinger 10 character, just like everybody's well groomed stuff, like almost like the way like Rick Rude without the ruggedness.
Sure. You know what it looked like? This is exactly how I explained it to Disco once because I had to go backstage once in WWE. I remember Chavo Guerrero was still there. Okay. Yeah. And I remember looking around and all the guys kind of looked the same, well built, the little Backstreet Boys metrosexual thing. All the girls were really good. Yeah. And I was like, bro, you know what this looks like? This looks like an audition for Glee. This is exactly what the locker room looked like. Everybody was just beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah.
And I see that, but like then, so you marry like I see like you go at Dolphins stuff. Probably no, you like to when you go on the road. You like to go clubbing, find clubs and stuff. But,
I mean, there's definitely a time if like I'm with Ziggler or Morrison or Miz, like we like to go out for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely a different time. Also, like we not only with people collecting toys and stuff like that, but when I first got on the road, people go out every night. Now it's like. Sometimes that's kind of why Hawkins and I started the podcast because after Raw there'd be nothing to do because nobody wanted to do anything, not even go get fucking food at Outback.
It's kind of weird like that these days. It's
Jeremy would tell me that all
the boys don't like to go out, and I'm like, God, man, that's what we were. Our thing when the show was over, we had our clique. Go to the bar, get a couple beers, find out where the strip joint is. Go to the strip joint, find out where the club is. Go to the club, find out where the after hours is. And like you rinse repeat. Like when we're on the road, we want to work out and party. And stuff. And now it's like these guys, when that video game culture started coming, and guys just want to go back to the rooms and play video games. It's like, it started changing and stuff. But here's the thing. So, do you think as like I want for you specifically because you've been over huge, all right? And it's like, and everybody, you just can't deny it. Like I watched some of the days when you were U.S. champion at one point, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like when I did the whole YouTube thing back in like the.
You were getting huge.
Let me just say this. Okay. I thought that were you the one that was going woo woo?
Yeah.
Okay, and the Long Island iced tea and all that.
Yeah. All right. Ice Z, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Ice Z. Because you had a belt and everything.
Internet belt. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I saw that. Let me just say real quick. I thought that was absolutely hilarious and very entertaining. Go ahead.
So
thank you.
We've seen you get like big pops and stuff, everything, right? And like you serviceable professional wrestler, put on a good show, crowd reaction, stuff, and then you're not Shawn Michaels, but you don't suck. You're good. Right. Like a good wrestler. You had a belt. It's like, what do you think of like as we've kind of seen this the internet darlings kind of take over in wrestling? Guys like you were getting over, where Daniel Bryan was getting over, Punk was getting over, everything. And I've always thought that. Do you think that the fact that like Vince McMahon's like an old school guy, set in his ways, has his vision of what wrestlers should be like, the type of crowd they should draw? Do you think he resented guys like you that got over like that because it just wasn't him like getting you over? It was just you connecting with this fan base?
I mean, here's what I have to say about that. I mean, when I started that YouTube show, and listen, I wasn't the first guy to have a YouTube show. I wasn't the first guy to have social media. I think I was the first guy who learned how to use it to like accelerate my career because there was clearly nothing was going on for me. I was in WWE, I was on Raw, but I was doing nothing. I'd be on maybe, you blink and you miss me. I'd be in some backstage segment or in some squash match or on like that superstar show they tape before Raw, or maybe not even booked, and I just didn't want to be that guy. I dreamed of being a wrestler. I didn't dream of just collecting a paycheck and eating the catering, So when I started that YouTube show, I just wanted to create. I
will put over very good catering though. Very good catering.
I think my age at that time helped me because I think now everyone is in the same generation that they're similar to my age. But at that time, I was still very young. I was like 25 years old, and most of the guys were way older than me. So like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, I was using that in my real life as Matt Cardona, as the person. So I was like, well, why don't I just use it as Zack Ryder and I know how to do it. And I think I was using it, before people really knew how powerful it was.
Can I ask you one real quick? You say Matt Cardona. Are you somebody in your family Latin?
Italian. It's both. I get that a lot, actually.
All right.
Yeah. But to answer your question, do I think Vince resented it? Listen, did it go the way I wanted it to go? Absolutely not. But here's the thing: I could have easily knocked on his door and said, "Hey, Vince, what's going on here? Right? Like, why am I getting pushed up the stage in a wheelchair? Why am I getting choke slammed through a stage?" But I at the time was a couple things. I was naive. I wasn't mature enough. I wasn't man enough to just knock on his door and ask. So we'll never know. So it would be unfair to me to say he resented it or I was buried, because you know what? If anyone buried anybody, it was me, because I could have asked. I could have at least asked and inquired.
Matt, let me ask you a question. Wait. Tell me if there's any validity to this, because I've spoken to a couple of people in WWE about this, what I'm going to tell you. So do you think there's also a thing of how and this happens in every company, Vince will go to bat for somebody. He's got people that he likes. Shane will go to bat for somebody because he's got Paulie. Everybody always has people they go to bat for. Maybe you didn't have somebody that went to bat for you, okay? And then you're almost lost in a no man's land where the writers kind of know, well, we can do whatever we want to him because Vince ain't going to say anything. Shane ain't, you know what I'm saying? And then there are guys that that if you fuck with them a little bit, you're probably going to have – you almost feel like you might have been in that no man's land?
You know what? I mean, is that possible? 100%. I wasn't in those meetings to find out, and I didn't ask anybody to find out, really, because like I said, I could have went to Vince and asked, not saying he would have told me, but I could have asked and I didn't. I could have went to Triple H and asked, but I didn't. I also was too naive where I thought, okay, well, for instance, Kane is choke slamming me off a stage or pushing me off a stage in a wheelchair. I'll just wrestle him at Backlash. Right. I didn't realize what was going on until it was almost too late.
Were you afraid or you're also maybe afraid of if you talked to Vince that you would get heat or no?
No, I think I was just afraid. Like, I wasn't man enough to knock on his door and ask, because at the time I was still so young. Right. And to me, Vince McMahon, even now, if I go talk to Vince, it's still a scary thing. But even like that, I was petrified, you know, and that's on me for not being mature enough, man enough. So I blame myself for that. I hate, I never want to regret things or hold grudges or blame other people, because then you're just like bitter. And I just don't want to live that life. Trust me, when that was all going down, and I saw all that hard work from that YouTube show going down the drain, part of me was bitter. And if you look back, sometimes I see tweets and it was cringeworthy, where it's like Zack Ryder versus catering. What was that going to do? What was that going to accomplish? It was just complaining on the internet. For what? It didn't get me in a better spot. I just looking back, it's what's the point? I hate the bitter internet tweets to get a couple likes and get a headline on some news site. It's not going to help your position. And trust me, you're not going to be happier when you're home in your real life.